So last time we talked, I was saying that I wasn't sure if I was going to check out Novocaine, but Amber Midthunder. So maybe I would check out Novocaine. Well, I got tickets for an early screening, but my honey ditched me. If you need to know one thing about me, it's that I do not like to leave the house, but if I do, I gotta have someone with me as my emotional support person because I cannot with people and I cannot with places. That said, I'm gonna pat myself on the back because I went to see this one by myself. Thank you. But was it worth it? Let's talk about it. Hey there, movie lovers. Welcome back. It is your movie buddy here, ready to talk about the latest movie I watched in theaters. Whether you're a longtime subscriber or follower, or you are here with me for the first time, I'm happy to have you here. If you're looking for detailed plot breakdowns, you will not find them here, but stick around for my spoiler-free thoughts and honest opinions on the latest film I watched in theaters. With that all out of the way, grab your popcorn and let's get into today's episode on Novocaine. When Sherry, the woman of his dreams, is kidnapped, a mild-mannered introvert, Nathan, incapable of feeling physical pain, turns his rare condition, CIP, into an unexpected advantage in the fight to rescue her. I'm gonna be honest, I was on the fence about this movie just because it didn't seem like it was gonna hit as hard as I would like a movie like this to hit. That said, I had a good time because this movie was so much sweeter than I thought it was gonna be, because I was so caught up in thinking about the action and Amber Midthunder. Anyway, as always, I want to get into the themes of the film, or at least my take on it. At its core, Novocaine is about living life. It's about getting out of your shell, out of your comfort zone, and growing as a person. Because of his rare condition, CIP, Nathan is unable to feel pain. Now, if you're wondering, like I was, if this is a real condition, it is. CIP, or congenital insensitivity to pain, also known as congenital analgesia. It's a big word for Elmo. It's a rare genetic disorder where individuals cannot feel or have a severely reduced ability to feel pain or temperature, leading to various health complications. Based on what I've read online, the movie actually represents this condition well, given the type of film it is. I started rambling a little bit, but back to the core of the film. Because of Nate's condition, he lives a very careful life, and where he can, he does his best to minimize the risk of being injured without him realizing. This leads to him keeping to himself and not getting out of his shell. It isn't until he experiences that love and motivation that he truly starts to live, and sure, you might get hurt along the way, but that's life. Now, I know I mentioned that I was on the fence about this movie before watching, but we're still going to talk about what worked. If you caught my episode on Companion that I also posted today, then you know we're going to talk about one of my favorite Nepo babies, Jack Quaid as Nathan Kane. His performance is fantastic, and he actually carries this movie. Now, is this movie so bad that he carries, or is his acting that good? If you've already seen the movie, let me know what you think in the comments. Jack Quaid commits to the role, and he really sells some of the more unoriginal dialogue. He's convincing as the unassuming introvert and as the love-driven badass. There's also a real timid cheerfulness that he brings to the role that makes the character really endearing and easy to connect with and cheer for. He just wants to live, laugh, love, you guys. I will say that Amber Midthunder should have had more screen time. For what, you might ask? Doesn't matter, just give her more screen time. That said, the amount of time she did have on screen is fine for the film and for the story. As Sherry, she actually had a surprising opportunity for range. I think when you're watching the movie, it's really easy to assume how the story will go and kind of what story beat is going to play out next. So I was really surprised when I felt like the movie should have ended and it just kept going for like another 15 minutes. This time, coupled with the rest of the film, really gave her the opportunity to show a more rounded character and nuance rather than just a love interest that needed saving, and I love that for her. Jacob Batalon is hilarious and brings a warmth and support to the film. Another Nepo baby, Ray Nicholson, is a fantastic actor, and I wish he had more screen time. Betty Gabriel is convincing in her role, and I really enjoyed what she brought to the film and the humor that came from her character. The entire supporting cast is fantastic, and they all really lent to the credibility of the world the film built. Finally, I want to talk about the romance. Yes, the romance. Novocaine is an action comedy as it's marketed. but it's also a romance. I really enjoyed the action and the blood, so of course I had a good time. This movie is funny. I laughed out loud several times, and not just when there was over-the-top action and violence. This movie is genuinely funny, but the romance. I honestly think Novocaine is strongest when it leaned into the romance. Do I think this is because I really like Jack Quaid and Amber Midthunder, and because their acting and chemistry was really charming? Yeah, probably. While I really enjoyed the romance and the acting, there are still some elements that people have critiqued. This section is going to be short, not because I'm obsessed with this movie and I don't care what anyone has to say about it, but really because I saw an early screening and I didn't find a lot of critiques, and it really was a lot of the same comments. So we're going to get into a couple of criticisms about the movie, and I'll share my thoughts along the way. First one says, quote, "The problem is that this one joke is not particularly unique, and the endless repetitions, although certainly gory enough, are never crazy or inventive enough to overcome the monotony," unquote. The second and last one I pulled says, quote, "Novocaine lives up to its name all right. A tedious action comedy so numbingly bland, you feel the pain of its 110-minute runtime, even as its protagonist can't feel a thing," unquote. So, I mean, yeah, look, I do like the concept, but the movie does feel repetitive, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. There are some things that are brought up more than once that are either flat out funny or it's situational humor. The action, when it hits, is pretty good. Don't get me wrong, there is variety with the action, but it's all very much the same tone, energy. I don't know how to explain it, but I wish they pushed the action and kills even more. Was I entertained? Yes, but I'll admit at one point in the movie while I was digging through my purse for candy, I was literally thinking, am I bored right now? And it was really, really weird because I like the action, I like the romance, but like the second critique points out, I can see how the movie is tedious. Bland though? Bland is pretty strong, but when you have movies like John Wick or even last year's The Fall Guy or Monkey Man, I mean, they're all very different movies, but what I'm talking about is interesting, engaging, and exciting action that has you locked in. Now, let's wrap up with my final thoughts on the movie. After discussing some of its elements, the real question remains, is Novocaine worth 1 hour and 50 minutes of your time? In my opinion, I think it depends. This is not a bad movie. I would say it's a fun matinee, discount Tuesday, or even a date night movie. Then again, like I said, it really depends on you and what you're looking to get out of this movie. Novocaine does what it does well. The romance is the best part of the film, in my opinion, backed by the talented Jack Quaid and Amber Midthunder, who have fantastic chemistry, and they really keep this movie's head above water. The action is good. Could they have pushed it and elevated the movie? Yeah, but it potentially could have changed the tone. But like I said, the action is still good, it's funny, it's entertaining, and it's realistic. I think if you're not heavily into action or you can acknowledge the spectrum of action, then this movie is worth watching. Just keep in mind, the real heart of this movie is the romance. I love the acting, and the comedy really sticks the landing. Earlier, I did mention that my honey canceled on me, so if you're wondering if I would buy tickets again to see it with him, no. But I would definitely watch it with him at home once it's available to stream. All right, before we wrap up, let's talk about what's coming next. I still need to share my thoughts on Hard Eyes, and then we're all caught up. That one recently became available to stream, so I think I'm going to post that one to the podcast and give myself an easier week next week. Because I really pushed myself this week, you guys. I also posted my thoughts on Companion today as well. If you're watching today's episode on YouTube, you can click the link in the top right corner. And if you're listening to today's episode on the podcast, that episode is available for you as well. But please beware of spoilers. Also, a quick shout out to anyone that voted on the poll, because I was really convinced that YouTube shunned me to a dark corner. So thank you. I appreciate you. Moving on to theater releases, I did get myself a ticket for Death of a Unicorn, but The Woman in the Yard also comes out that weekend, and I really want to see that one too. I might have to watch both. We'll see. But for now, a huge thank you to everyone who has stuck around with me to the end of the video. Last time we talked, I shared my thoughts on Captain America: Brave New World, and I didn't hate it. I understand the hate and I understand the critiques, but I still had fun watching it. If you haven't checked that episode out yet, you already know. It's just a click away. If you're watching today's episode on YouTube, you can find a link to that review in the top right corner, and for my podcast listeners, that episode is available for you as well. Your feedback is always appreciated, so please share your thoughts on YouTube in the comments below, and if you're listening on the Spotify app, swipe up and let me know what you're thinking. Do you agree with my take? Do you have a different opinion? What are your thoughts on Novocaine? Do you plan on watching it, or are you going to wait for it to stream? I honestly think it's a good movie for what it is. The action is good, but the romance and the acting are the strongest parts of the movie. I think a lot of people will like this movie, but honestly, is it me? Am I the problem? Let's be real. Yeah, the problem is me and my expectations. Anyway, what did you think about the action? Do you think it was repetitive, or did you like it? I'm interested to know what you guys think, so let's get the conversation going. If you're enjoying the content on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. If you enjoy on-the-go listening, then you should check out the podcast. Follow me on Spotify so you don't miss out on the podcast exclusive for Heart Eyes next week, and so you can check out the rest of the podcast exclusives. Now, it's that point in the episode where I would plug my Instagram, but due to current events, I did uninstall it and I will not be updating it, but I am on Blue Sky at A Rocket Review, all one word. And to be honest, like I've said before, I've never really used Twitter, X, whatever, so I'm still figuring out how to use Blue Sky, and to be honest, you guys, I keep forgetting that I have the app on my phone, but you can find me there. Your support, whether on YouTube, the podcast, or Blue Sky, really helps this community grow, and it really means so much to me, and I cannot thank you enough. Until next time, spread positivity, and please, please, please be safe. I feel like, not that I feel like, it really is. It's getting worse every day here in the US, so please take care of yourself and take care of the people around you. Take breaks from the news, stay hydrated, don't forget to eat, and a friendly reminder that it is okay to distract yourself. So happy movie watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.